another area where education is really letting our country down is the tertiary education sector. Now, we've spoken a lot about universities, but one of the things that never ceases to amaze me is how much some of these vice-chancellors and executives are getting paid. There's a parliamentary committee that's just done an inquiry into university governance, and they've suggested that we review the quote-unquote outrageous salaries of some of these VCs. Now, there are 300 university executives who earn more than state premiers. The highest paid vice-chancellor is at the University of Canberra on $1.7 million, then Monash 1.5, Melbourne 1.4. You get the picture. Many of them are earning over $1 million a year. And what's so bad is that the G8 universities, the group of 8, those are the sandstone unis like UNSW, UniMelb, they often have the highest salaries, yet the lowest student experience. Yet you do have to ask, if these unis are consistently getting rated as having a poor student experience, poor graduate outcomes, really just trading off their reputation and architecture, not actually providing a good education, why should some of these vice-chancellors be earning double what the Prime Minister's earning? It does seem outrageous.
I mean, to be fair, most of them are probably twice as smart as the Prime Minister, so we do have to keep that in mind.
True.
And I've always found the comparison of the Prime Minister's salary an odd one, because the PM, we all know, is compared to the private sector thoroughly underpaid.
Yeah, well, but he does get a kind of couple of nice houses to live in, a couple of cars, nice jet.
But I guess the point is that universities should not be treated like the private sector, because they rely overwhelmingly on taxpayer funds, and they have become so bloated now beyond what they were originally intended to do. They basically turned into multi-billion-dollar corporate behemoths instead of actually something that serves the national good.
And that's, I think that's the thing, because it's obviously market forces that lead to these salaries being so high. And from that perspective, I kind of go, well, if that's what is being demanded by the market, then that's simply what you have to pay. That's how the world works. But, as you say, they get a lot of public money. And when you get a lot of public money, I think the public has a right to sort of put some terms and conditions on how that money gets spent. And fundamentally what they do now is they take a lot of public money, but then they want to take as much money, full total odds, as well as they can get from foreign students, and they cry every time someone says, oh, well, maybe we should cut the foreign student intake because it's the golden goose and they don't want to get rid of it. So are universities really serving their purpose? I don't think they are. So you can get a lot of money out of the government and then go and pay someone nearly $1.8 million to run the show because they're the chief executive. But why are we investing in that if we're not getting the return we
Well, and I
get?
think we need to be really clear on what is the return we're expecting, because we have students that go to university, and I used to always see my university's experience was an opportunity to learn how to learn, as opposed to what you were specifically being taught as some of the content. And a lot of that's being lost. Then you've also got the really important part of the people you go to uni with, that you go through your career, and at different times you're crossing paths and you've still got those experiences. But universities also were centres of excellence where there used to be really significant research and proper research done. And then, graduates from university would go on to be fellows and professors and continue that research and development of courses. And I think if it is the market that's demanding that's why these salaries need to be paid, there does need to be a performance lever there, and how it's managed. Like, what are the sort of... I'm not a believer in directed research. I think research should go where it goes, but that what sort of research is being generated from the university sector and the universities themselves, and what is the student experience and the student experience post-university, because it's extraordinary when you talk to employers what they tell you about how capable these kids are to move into the workforce, and most of them not very at all, because they've had no experience. Well, my other thing, just to finish for me for universities, we should move some of those courses like nursing and teaching and others back into the workplace, more practical training, rather than keeping them cloistered in the sandstone, not necessarily learning on the job.
I mean, to even become a teacher these days, they basically expect you to have a master's. I mean, what was so bad when we had teachers' colleges and they got a diploma? I mean, it's the best teachers I had in primary school came from that crowd, and we're talking before about books. I've still got my Year 6 teacher gave me the dictionary when she retired that she used when she was at teachers' college.
Were you the teacher's pet?
No, but I really loved this.
Is that even a question, Holly?
I loved this Oxford Dictionary. You know, I'm a journalist, writer by trade, so I always had a fascination with language, and I loved this Oxford Dictionary that she had in the classroom. And it's got notes and whatever from when she went to teachers' college. And I love that book. But you talk about the kids that are going off to university, and there's some new research has looked over 10 years at the kids, and I'm not talking about foreign students, I've talked about that before, but the kids that are coming out of Australian schools and going into university. And I'll preface this by saying that I don't think everyone should go to university. In fact, I think there are too many people going to university. I think one of the biggest problems with the university sector in this country was when the Gillard government uncapped enrolments and basically said everyone go off to uni. That's when they turned into big businesses, and I don't think it served the unis or the kids who go there well, because quite a few of them don't end up completing their degrees. But when you look at who is ending up at uni, it's far and away, according to this new study, girls. And like stark numbers in terms of how many girls are going. So, for instance, if you're talking about independent schools, 58% of girls end up graduating from university after they've gone to school, whereas for boys, it's 48%. So that's a 10% difference. It's really stark when you get to public schools. 40% of girls in public schools end up graduating from uni, 27% of boys. In Catholic schools, it's 54% of girls versus 35% of boys. Now, again, I'm not saying everyone ought to go to university, but very clearly here, boys are not getting there. Now, this is graduating from uni. So they may well be going off and starting a degree and then not finishing it, and I suspect that's a great deal of them. But if it's like 40% versus 27% in government schools, I reckon it means that, and you can see it in the school results, schools are built for girls these days.
Well,
boys are being left behind in terms of their academic results, and no one really wants to talk about it.
And also, what does that do in a culture where credentialism is still a thing, where university is seen as the ultimate path to success? If you only have 27% of boys from public schools finishing uni, but 40% of girls. I mean, this is a fact about female biology. Generally, across cultures, across time, women like to date up. Now, we've got a crisis of singleness and a collapsing birth rate, partly because women are overachieving relative to boys, and it starts in the education system, and it has a whole range of social, cultural, economic implications. And I think we need to value trades more, and also have an actual middle class where you can have a comfortable life without having gone and gotten a university degree. We've hollowed out the middle class, we disparage trades, we force everyone into uni, and it's boys that are getting left behind.